I'm going to talk about the AWS. AWS is a cloud service. So there are some commonly AWS servers. The first is IAM. It's called the Identity Policy Resource Policy. The full name about this one is Identified Access Management. So this is the one of the very common AWS servers, and the second is the S3 is file image. I would treat it like a database. It's a videos configuration. You can put large files in the S3 servers. And the third one is Lambda, which is called serverless servers. And the fourth is CloudWatch, is purpose for the monitor. And the five is the EKS. This means the Elastic Kubernetes servers. And the second one is Elastic Container Servers. They are works for the both functions to do some orchestration containers servers. We will dive into deep later. And the sixth one is called the SQS. Is called like Simple Query Server. It's a message queue, something like that. And the seven is the SNS, is Simple Notification Servers. And 8 is Event Bridge. And 9 is ECR, which is full name about this is called Elastic Containers Registry. Now we start from the first one. IAM is called the Identified Policy Resource Policy. It has Identified Policy Resource Policy. The full name about this. Let me do this. The full name about this called the Identity Access Management. It's kind of like control the. You have a lot of servers, right? And you can give specific accounts, specific servers, some rules about that. So more about the security part. You can see IAM roles is entity objects, effective collections of policies. So you have to define your personal, your policy, and give the access to specific service that is purposeful here. Like current we have service, right? Whether, which is people called Emmy, whether he can access or not. So that is kind of a very simple example about the IAM. If Emmy wants to access this service, you have to use the IAM count to register Emmy in the give the access to the Emmy. And the second one is called the It's called the S3. S3 is treated as like a database from somewhere to put some files, image, like videos, configuration file, logs, a lot of things you can put that. So it offers some encryptions. From the client side encryptions, you provide the encryption key. Client provides encryption key. Then based on the encryption key, to access specific file. And another is called like a server-side encryption, which has the three different. One is called SSEC, SES3, SEKMS. So this one means SEC means clients provide the key, and then S3 based on the key to encrypt the files. And for the SES3 it's totally generated by the S3 to generate specific encryption key. And for the SSE KMS means the key management server. It has a specific service to generate some key. And the KMS provide a key called key encryption key. And they use this key to encrypt a data encryption key. So this is different encryption way. And S3 is a public service, and but it's a region resilient. And S3 maximum size of object is 5 TB, no limit how many days we can store. And S3 has some tier for a bucket, right? You have bucket and you put a lot of files inside. Start from the expensive one to the cheaper way. This one is standard, actually is expensive, and then this is cheaper, infrequent access. Glacier keep deep archive. So you have to, when you AWS has like a configuration page about the S3, you have to choose the right about this one for the S3 resource. Let's talk about the third part is called Lambda. So Lambda is the serverless service. It's a function as a service. It's Lambda functions, and this Lambda functions, the longest just only can run 15 minutes. And here are some problems we can have. How can we invoke a Lambda function? The first way is use the command line, right, or SDK console to manually invoke some Lambda functions. You can give it input and call that functions, call that servers. And the second way is called asynchronous invocation. For example, when you upload a file to the S3 and generate an event, and that event will invoke the Lambda. And the third one is event source mapping. A message queue to send the event, right? You have the message queue and send the event directly to the Lambda. So this is how we invoke the Lambda. And how, if we have the Java logic in the Lambda, how to trigger it. Spring handler, right? Trigger Lambda. It's kind of like directly call that function. And if Lambda encounter errors, how can we receive notification and how can we dealing with this? We have the Lambda, and we also have the CloudWatch. It's kind of like monitor tool. And we had the event bridger, and then it will go to the message queue, and the message queue will call the trigger. You can see here, it will trigger like a message, email to doing something. So this is the way to receive notification. So Lambda, right? Based on the CloudWatch, it's got like a current now user sending something or which API is calling, then Lambda will trigger that, and then it will send the message in the queue and to send the users to double check about the email part. Okay, so how to deal with the cold start in Lambda? The cold start is the cold start means re-download the JRE and the configuration files. So here I have some Lambda, right? Lambda is actually servers and functions running on the servers, and sometimes it's need to download the JRE and download your whole Spring application and run it. That is called the cold start, and the AWS will handle about this. Right, so there's a solution about this which is called provisioned concurrency, and AWS will help you to do some the warm escalation context, and you can directly to call the Lambda. Here has this is also an example about how the Lambda's function doing. We have the applications, right, and the message queue here, and this is X3, and for here we have like a video which is 1080p the quality, and for here we have the Lambda function. For message here it says, I want to smaller the videos, and it will trigger the functions, and the function will get the videos, and then when it's running finish, it will return to the S3. So it's kind of like a workflow here. Okay, so what is the CloudWatch? Metric. CloudWatch has some metrics. We can. It's kind of like monitor tool. You can check in the CPU metrics, memory metrics, right? Not enable at default, so you have to do some configurations, and it requires latency, current application load balance, response latency, disk use, disk stress of ECT node, error rate, something. So it's a monitor tool. Okay, the fifth one is the EKS and ECS. So what is the EKS? EKS is Elastic Kubernetes Servers cluster. It's kind of like a Kubernetes. AWS offer the fully Kubernetes servers. So this is kind of like a Kubernetes is like you have the cluster, right? You have 3 nodes, leader, at least one leader and 2 work nodes. And the leader node has the control plan and the ingress file. It's to tell you which worker you should direct it to. And for this, leader nodes and control plan normally is managed by the AWS. So user or developer don't need to worry about the leader nodes part, just focus on the worker nodes. So worker nodes has some like POP, right? Because it's Kubernetes. In the Kubernetes has some very important component. One is POP. POP is smallest unit. Like for current here is this one is called POP. You have to run in the container, which is like payment servers, right? You run it in the POP. And deployments use the Yummy GitHub report, replicate the something here. And the servers servers here. We got the status IP address, it was directed to the right worker node. And also namespace. Okay, so how could we name this one? So this is worker node 1 and worker node 2, worker node 3. So you have to target the current here and current here and current here. I want to treat it as the developer environment. So you have to configure this by the tag, whatever, and then you say, oh, current here is the environment about the developer environment. So you have to name the specific place. So this is the Elastic Kubernetes servers, right? So how could you, when you have the applications and you running it, right, push it to the GitHub, and the GitHub will call the Jenkins, and Jenkins is a CI/CD tool, and it will help you to go to the Elastic Container Register. Current application, it will help you to register, and then it will deploy to the Elastic Kubernetes servers. It will help you handle a worker node. Your current application is running on the worker node. So kind of like a workflow is like this. And what about the Elastic ECS? ECS is Elastic Container Servers. It's different with handle the same thing purpose for the orchestration container. But for here it's quite different. For here is you call this POP. But for here we call is like a small unit which is container is called like task. This is one task, right? And for here is like a task identifier or current here. Current service you have one task, second task, the third task. And target group is the status IP address. And for there it's different is you have to for the different environments. Elastic Container is treat one cluster, like you can configure it, or current cluster is the developer environment. So it's quite different from here. They are together. But for here you have to separate it. We have the cluster about the developer environment, we have product cluster, but they have the same components. So just use this way to run different environments. Okay, so we come to the next, which is called the Simple Query Service. It's very similar to the Kafka, but this service is offered by the AWS. And the 7th one is called the SNS, is called the Simple Notification Service. You can see here, producer topic, right? And then when you have the subscriber, when this topic have something, and then it's where subscriber will get some email from the topic. So it's kind of like that's way to make the simple notification service. So event bridge is the event bus based on the partition schedule, route those events to the Lambda or something here. So you have to configure this. What current event need to go this one or this one. And the ninth one is the Elastic Container Register. Like for here, you can Jenkins, right? When you before go to the worker nodes, you have to register first. So it's kind of like you register, and also for the register integrate with IAM. IAM is, this one is already mentioned before, the first one. So, yeah. So let's see from the whole picture about this one. So we have the user, right? And the user is calling this one, this URL link, and it will go to the DNS, which is the AWS Route 53. It will give you some database, not database, some IP address. It will resolution this domain name, and then it will go to the gateway. And the gateway is will point it to the this one. Yeah, it will have the gateway and go to this is application layer balance. Layer balance will directly you to the right nodes, right servers. For example, for here it will give you to like also inside we have the Spring Cloud API gateway. This is kind of like internal gateway, and it will route into the specific servers. Come here, right? And then got something, do some logic, right? Go to the database to configure something, and then it will return back to the user. So this is kind of like a workflow about this. And also we have the databases like MongoDB, and this is a relative database, which is RDS is offered by, it's a relational data service offered by the AWS. And this is CloudWatch. It's kind of like a monitor to help you to check the servers inside whether healthy or not. So this is the whole picture about this one. And also, what is the VPC? VPC is the virtual private cloud. So the inside here, you just inside you can servers can access each other, and outside you actually cannot, right? So it's kind of like this is called like a private subnet, and it's called public subnet. Public subnet, the outside you can access from that, but inside you cannot directly call that. You have to check a lot of things, and then it will to check you first whether you're allowed to do that. If okay, so he will do some logic. If not, it will just return back. So this is VPC here. Yeah, thank you.